am going to attempt to make this green t-shirt a little bit smaller, not much, but a little bit, based on this brown one. I have it laid down here on the table. And the first thing I'm going to do, I already know that I'm only coming in 1/4 inch on the shirt itself because it doesn't need to be made that smaller. So I'm taking my t-shirt and I'm measuring the distance but for the length. So I've got my straight ruler and I went from the armpit down, and this says 13. Let me move it over here so y'all can see it. 13. And so I'm going to do 13.5 on the green from the armpit down. And all I'm going to do is put a mark, and I'm using the black friction pen. And actually, I did this a minute ago and then erased it, so I know that when I erased it, it actually turns white. So I'm just marking 13.5. I'm going to go to the other end and mark 13.5. I'm going to lay my ruler all the way across here and draw a line, and then I'll use my rotary cutter to cut it. So here's my mark right here, as you can see it. And then I take my ruler and I will come down from the mark, just like I was going to mark it there, and I will measure. Let's turn the ruler around so I can measure correctly, because here's my 1, so I'm coming down, and I want to find out how much am I taking off. So when I come down to the bottom, it is 4.5. So it is right there, 4.5. Don't let this white line fool you. That's not the 4.5 mark. The 4.5 is up here. So it's saying I need 4.5 inches off the bottom. Now, before I mark my line, doesn't really, I guess it doesn't make a difference, but I go to the bottom of my fabric here on this shirt, and I do it on pants as well, and I line it up before I cut it, because I want to make sure that the two pieces, since I'm going to use my rotary cutter, I have to make sure that these are lined up on top of each other, otherwise my hem's going to be off. So I just pin it all the way across, just like that. So what I'm doing is marking it. Come around the other side. Make sure it's in the camera. Go 4.5 from the bottom, which is right there. Let's see if you can see that mark right there. You can see this mark right here. So then you can put your ruler from there to there and mark it. This happened on the last shirt also. I can see it right there. Go to the other side and do the same thing. Always smooth it out. And it looks like from here to there is the correct mark. And that's it. And then we take our rotary cutter. There we go. Just take our time. Right off the end. That's it right there. And now we'll take it over, and I'm going to serge the right and the left side, and then I'll come back, and even though I'm going to serge it, I will I go ahead and I pull my strings through, but I will sew it on the machine anyway. And I'm going to sew the bottom on the machine. I'm not going to use the serge. I just realized everybody doesn't have a serge machine, so let's not do with serge machine. Well, I did 2 of them with serge, and I'm going to do 2 now with regular sewing machine, and let me show you what I did. So the first thing I did, which I'll have to show on the other side. Hold on one sec. I smashed that down, because remember now we're only needing to take a 1/4 inch. Put a pin in it. I'm going to use clips. Whoops, I did it wrong. Fold it like that. I'm folding it so that this piece folds that direction so that I can sew on it. So I had it backwards. Put a pin in it. Then I'm going to put clips. Like that. All the way down. And this side here is all the way completed. Then I'm going to start on this side here. And let me show you how I sew it. You're going to want to put your stitch down because this is such a bump right here. It's going to be hard to have your sewing machine go back and forth. So this is where I put it down to about 1.2, 1.4. And because you can't lock it, stop with it, take it off, take my pin out, there we go, and then snip off the end, and then I've gone over this twice. And that's it for that edge right there. Then you'll go ahead and turn your fabric around, and then we're going to sew it the correct way. We're going to put our stitch back up to 2.5, or if you feel like you need to do it in 3. And then we can back it up a little bit. And then come forward, just like that. And then take these out as we go along. And I'm sewing on the edge of that. Now we'll have to be careful when we go over this bump. And we'll keep this pushed towards the left. I'm just doing a little bit at a time. I'll do the same thing here. If it doesn't back up, first I'll try it with the backup. Oh, it's backing up, so I'm fine. And then come forward and go ahead and cut it. I don't have any hem on it yet. It's the same thing. There you have the seam. All the way through the whole thing. And now I'll set my machine up for the hem, which will be a double needle, and I'll show you that. So notice I have a twin needle, although my threads look like they're twisted, but they're not. Here was my sample stitch with my double needle right here. And you don't set your machine up any certain way. You keep your regular foot in it, and then when you flip it over, it's zigzagged. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so that's the way it looks like when it's done. And I actually had to use 2 different colors of thread because I didn't have 2 spools of the same thread. So that's it. All done.